While we were all paying attention to actual games Michigan State was playing, this is a top 30 class for 2026 all of a sudden? Okay.
You are Locked On Spartans, your daily podcast on the Michigan State Spartans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Today's episode of Locked On Spartans is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you will get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download that app today. Spartan friends, Spartan family, Locked On Spartans listeners, how on earth are we all doing as we are in the midst of, well, not a game week, but a bye week. I think a much-needed bye week for the players, the fans. It's your favorite podcaster alike, but hey, we're not slowing down here. We're still doing 5 days a week right here in the Locked On Podcast Network, and we are talking recruiting. We're talking portal with the guy who lives and breathes both of those line items. It is Brian Smith of the Portal of the Locked On Podcast Network. And Brian, look, when we've been talking about recruiting, especially as of late into the summer months, we were saying, I'm not sure if Michigan State will have a top 30 class. There's just not enough 4 stars. There's a lot of kids ranked outside the top 800. So that's going to be a little bit of a bummer unless these things happen, unless some kids get bumped up to 4-star status, which is possible. But wait, what's that? Oh, that did happen. Brian, in the last week or so, we had some guys get bumped up to 4-star status on the 24/7 Sports Composite. Right now, we have Tyren Wortham, the receiver out of Florida. We have linebacker Braylon Hodge out of Colorado, Colin Campbell, offensive tackle out of Arizona, Cade Kaufman, the quarterback right here in the great state of Michigan, and Samson Gash, the speed demon wide receiver out of Detroit Catholic Central. Now all 4 stars. You also saw some other guys get bumped up too, like Eli Bickle. Brian, this class is sitting at number 27 right now. They're 8th in the Big Ten, whereas last year they were 16th in the Big Ten. Brian, is the dream going to happen? Is Michigan State going to get a top 30 class when signing day rolls around?
I think they might actually move up a little bit more based on the following statement. I could be wrong, and if it happens, it's not my fault. Just blame Matt if you're Michigan State. Michigan State has a head coach. It's only been there a couple of years, but he's got West Coast ties. When he tells UCLA no officially, I think that'll help them.
Okay.
I think that'll galvanize. I don't think he's going to take that job. They're not spending any money, but that's one of the guys that they're going to go after. He's got West Coast ties, and it'd be a good fit. But I think that'll help. And I also think that they're throwing it around. Like, Aiden Child's a pretty good quarterback. Obviously, the defense, if you've got a helmet laying around, you might want to head over to East Lansing.
Correct.
The defense is bad. I tried to watch some of the game against USC. They're so bad in the front 7 right now. It's not even funny. That's not Michigan State football. I mean, they need 20 guys just on defense.
It's bad. It's bad. You know what it is? It's a great blend to sell to recruits of, hey, look, our offense actually works. Look at this system. Everyone's going to shine here. You know, like, that's a great selling point. And then there's a selling point that, like, you think can work, and maybe it does at some places. Who knows? But on defense, come on, come all. Like, we got snaps for you waiting in your locker day 1 of your freshman season, young man. Come on over to East Lansing. Look, namely one of these guys that I need to talk about here. This is the linebacker out of Colorado, Braylon Hodge, because all that this kid has done this summer has completely blown up. Like, he has gone from middling 3-star to now squarely in the top 300 players on the 24/7 Sports Composite, and he's getting the offers to match that. Colorado, his hometown team, has offered him. Texas has offered him. Michigan has offered him. Oregon has offered him. Mizzou has offered him. He's obviously tweeting these out. I don't know if he's done any visits or has scheduled any visits with any of these schools. Look, I'd be kidding if I said that I wasn't a little nervous seeing all these bigger, more established programs. As much as I love Michigan State, let's have an honest dialogue. A little more established programs coming. Do you think that there's a big chance for a flip here? Do you like his chances sticking at Michigan State? Because, hey, again, come play ball next year, like starting next year.
Well, that's got to be their sell. I mean, he's not walking into Texas is playing. He's not walking into Michigan and playing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's got to be your sell. And it might be one of the reasons that not only he committed, like Chris Addison, the kid from Louisiana, they don't get Louisiana kids.
Sure.
But, like, I mean, I don't know if LSU would take him there, having a great D-line class, but I'm sure A&M, Florida State, Ole Miss, a bunch of those other schools are probably curious with him. They've got some pretty good guys in the front seven committed. I like Addison's film, by the way.
Certainly.
I don't know which guys are going to look around, but if they committed that early to a defense they knew that wasn't very good, my strong guess is playing time was a major factor in their decision. Just doing the math. That's all.
I mean, it can't hurt, right? I don't know. This could be just like a false way of thinking about it, but yeah, I mean, different things matter to different kids, and I'm sure there's some NIL backing behind this too. That's not hurting Michigan State's shot here, but look, there's another flip candidate too that I just wanted your take on, because not only do you know the world of recruiting so well, Brian, but the state of Florida, skill position players, and there is a great one. A guy that was committed to UCF for a hot second, and this is 4-star wide receiver Tyren Wortham. Again, already flipped from one college. He's in Michigan State's class right now, but he did visit Florida State earlier this season on an unofficial visit. There's a rumored scheduled SEC visit coming up for him later. The rumor is that it's going to be Auburn later this year. The fact that he is actually visiting other schools right now, that seems like a legit flip candidate, even though he's already done it. Even though that, hey, if you're going to commit to any position group of Michigan State, wide receiver has been the strongest by far of any in the last few years.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of weighing the two against each other. What one do you think is going to net out as the winner here?
Well, I look at it like this. He'd have a chance to play with a good quarterback for a year. I expect Childs to come back next year, then turn pro. That would be my guess. But like kids from Sarasota or Jacksonville or Miami or Pensacola, Orlando, anywhere in between, they all take visits. State of Florida, I don't care which high school you're from. That's just the culture.
Sure.
For me, I lived there for 7 years. I'm just so used to it. It doesn't bother me. The kids that where you're from don't do that as much. Some, but not near as much. Nick Marsh aside. But that was a wild recruitment. This kid's a baller.
Worked out.
Yeah, he's 3 and out at Michigan State. There's no question. He's an NFL player. Wortham's a guy I think would come in, compete for starting minutes pretty quick.
I think very highly of him. Yeah, obviously the recruiting sites too. This isn't some hot take, but my God, he gets to his top gear in 2 steps. Like he is lightning. So
at Under Armour, he was dominant. He won MVP at receiver from the Under Armour people, and like any Florida event, if you win receiver or DB MVP. Look, it's crazy. So, like, I didn't know who he was until the event, and I'm like, who the hell is that guy? He just kept smoking people. Looking down on my sheet, I'm like, I don't know him, but I'm going to start following him now. And he was just killing people. He committed to UCF, and then everybody, after they saw the highlights, like Under Armour sends out all the highlights to the colleges, all of a sudden his phone was ringing. Michigan State, you got to give them credit for getting him, but they're going to have to fight. Because I'm sure the next Florida head coach or whatever, like, that's coming sooner than later. Florida State, whoever, there's going to be somebody that's going to make him an offer. Let's see where he visits. But Wortham is legit, man. Like that's an early, like worst case scenario, he starts as sophomore for the Spartans if he goes there.
I think so. Maybe special team or even from just day one, whether it's kickoff, punt return. I mean, I think the kid's really good. I'd love to see him in this class. Obviously, a long way to go till signing day. What Michigan State can do to help their cause. Keep winning. Keep having the receivers look amazing, because it's not just this year, but also Jalen Naylor, Jaden Reed doing quite well in the NFL. You want to give Courtney Hawkins credit for Keon Coleman. By all means, I'm not going to stop anyone here for doing that. But, yeah, it's been a healthy wide receiver in the last few years. Hopefully that's enough to entice Tyren Wortham, on top of all the other incentives, playing time, NIL, unlimited burgers at Crunchies over here in East Lansing, whatever it is. I mean, let's see if we could just stay in the game here for this one, which, as of now, we are. Hasn't flipped yet. Mazda crafts cars for those who do simply more than just move. Mazda delivers confidence with every ride, with more IIHS Top Safety Pick Plus awards than anyone else as of August 2025. From footwork to breathwork, athletes sweat all the details, and Mazda is no different. They bring the same intention to how they craft every single model. You can make everyday drives feel like anything but, from smooth handling to intuitive controls. And guys, with the all-wheel drive standard in every crossover SUV, you can drive with confidence through almost any season. Like our players, we sweat every detail, because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. It's Mazda, move and be moved. Also, guys, Monarch Money. Get a clear get a clear picture of your finances with Monarch Money, because I get it. Most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth. 401ks, properties, investments, you name it. When you don't have the full picture, you could end up leaving money on the table, and that is where Monarch Money comes into play. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool, bringing your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. Monarch is built for people with busy lives. If you put off organizing your finances, Monarch is here for you. Monarch does the heavy lifting for you, guys. You can link all your accounts in just minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks, guys. Use code LOCKEDONCollege. That's all one word, LOCKEDONCollege, at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year on monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONCollege. Again, guys, monarchmoney.com. But Brian, outside of these 4-star kids that we just rattled off, which one do you like in this class right now the most? Who's like the diamond in the rough, so to speak, for you?
Oh, man, it depends on what you want to go with. Hodge on 24/7 is a 3-star.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it just depends on which guy. Like the guy I'm curious about, and I'm not going to be able to pronounce his name, but he's the defensive edge player. I think he'll end up inside. The kid from Seattle plays at O'Day. It's a Catholic school there. It's wrong. That guy I'm curious about because he's got upside. Could be a boom or bust kind of deal, but he's got the frame you're looking for. But Kaufman's another guy. Like, I think he's underrated.
Certainly.
I don't know which – like, Michigan State's famous for this kind of class, and you look at it, you're like, yeah, he's good, this guy's good. But then there's nobody in particular that 2 years later, one of them that you're not sure about is all Big Ten. That's how Michigan State's been for my lifetime. But, like, most of the kids that I've watched the most, Wortham in particular, like, there's some kids underrated. Addison is 3-star on 24/7 as well. I love his film.
Sure.
This class is better than it's given credit for, and it's because Michigan State's just okay on the field. Nobody's talking about them.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of these guys, I bet this will be the biggest impact class they've had in at least 5 years in terms of guys coming in and playing. The most important guy is probably Campbell because they need offensive tackles desperately.
Sure.
But I know you and I were talking about this off air. Those guys don't normally hit right away, but he might get forced into playing sooner than later. That's my concern, but it is what it is. That might be another reason that he decided because he's got a bunch of offers. So I don't know. It's hard to pick just one guy though, but the one I know the best is Wortham, and that one I'm steadfast in. He's going to play right away.
And I just want to be fair to the staff here because I know that there's a lot of opinions about what's going on. There's people that want Jonathan Smith fired yesterday. I'm not going that far. I do think, one of the little concerns bubbling up was recruiting can ever get to a high enough spot. And I got to say, like, to have the talent evaluation right now where these guys did eventually grow up to be 4-star players or at least slot inside the top 600, I think that there's something to that. I think that Jonathan Smith deserves credit for that. So while we were kind of just questioning him, what was going to happen to this class in the summer, it's only fair that we actually come around when the ratings come around. And yeah, this is actually building up to be a pretty solid class. But Brian, before we get you out the door here, you host a show called The Portal. I'd like to talk about said portal because let's talk about this defense here for Michigan State. It's really bad. It's not good, Brian. Namely rushing the passer, which was an issue last year. Brian, we were hip to a stat thanks to a listener, Matt C. He reached out to lockedonspartans@gmail.com, and I had to see this for myself, and I tabulated the stats too. We've played 12 Power 4 teams under Jonathan Smith and Joe Rossi. 8 of those games ended with 0 sacks for Michigan State. 2/3 of these games have ended with 0 sacks. So yes, I'm still going to beat this horse into the ground. We are still going to talk about pass rush because clearly not enough was done in the portal. So I just want to ask this question, like, could MSU have done more in the portal? That might sound like a silly question, but is this a situation where there's actually not a lot of like great transfer portal addition candidates to be had? Like, is there not that many pass rush guys in the portal, or did Michigan State just botch it? Like, what do you think about this?
A little of both, but it's more that teams are now paying their players to stay. The portal is not near as fruitful as it was a year and a half, 2 years ago.
Gotcha.
That's the problem. So if you walk in, this doesn't have to be Michigan State, but any coach that walks into, I need a whole bunch of guys right now scenario.
Yep.
Now, great. Not great.
That was Michigan State. That was.
I know. And that's like I can't get back the time that I watched Michigan State's defense against USC.
Same. Yeah, right.
So, like, they were getting blown off the ball. The running back was looking for somebody to run into. Like, it was bad. And just, I think that Michigan State's going to have to play the slow game, which I know fans don't want to hear. But I'll go ahead and make this statement. If y'all get rid of Jonathan Smith, I'm going to make a real simple question for you. Mm-hmm. Who are you going to hire?
Really? Is that rhetorical or non-rhetorical? Because, in the same cycle where Florida is going to be open, in the same cycle where Wisconsin's going to be open, in the same cycle where maybe Clemson's a little too far. I don't think they can double yet. But, like, this could be a competitive market going up against other programs. So that is a good question to ask here, Brian. Like, if not him, then who? Go ahead. Name a guy. Anyone. Pick one. And I swear to God, if anyone says Jimbo Fisher, I will drive to your house and strangle you. But, Brian, we've gotten those emails. Hey, how about Jimbo Fisher? How about you never reach out to the show again? That man got paid $76 million to never coach again for Texas A&M. You think that he's just some great coach all of a sudden because he won a national title 15 years ago with Jameis? Oh, my God. Anyway, I'm fine. It's okay. I love all emails from all the listeners. You guys are the best. But I swear to God, Jimbo Fisher, you will be blocked if I get those emails. But truly, I mean, like, that's not nothing. Like, where are you going to go? You going to pull Kenny Dillingham away from Arizona State? Would Florida pounce on him first? I don't know. But I'm glad you brought that up because we are going to talk about that here in the third segment with Zach Anderson Yoxsimer of Locked on UCLA. But really quick, I give a % chance. Okay, pause. I'm going to edit all this out. Don't worry. Last week I said Jonathan Smith, 0.5% chance to leave for UCLA. In the next segment, I make it a little bit of a higher percentage. What about you? Like, what's your percentage that Jonathan Smith leaves for UCLA?
5% tops. They're just not going to spend. They're just not going to spend. I think they won't necessarily take somebody without head coaching experience again. Mm-hmm. But Tony White from Florida State is who I would hire. He played there. He's a great defensive coordinator, but he doesn't have any head coaching experience. But if they don't do that, you're not getting the $3 million coach again. That's what they were paying Deshaun the first year. That's not happening in today's world.
Yeah.
So they're in a tough spot. So it could be White, but we'll see. But I just don't think Jonathan's agent's going to like the offer. He might start laughing. He may have some good entertainment with it at the dinner table because they're going to ask 7 or 8 minimum to start, and that UCLA is not going to pay that.
Yeah, and an NIL pool, assistant pool, right. It's going to be tough shakes for them to pull him away. So if they do want to pull him away, but 5%, huh? Well, gee, if only someone would have that number here in the very next segment when we do talk with Zach Anderson Yoxsimer. But guys, hey, if you want more of Brian Smith, and why wouldn't you? He's great with all things recruiting, portal, and just college football in general. Guys, check him out at The Portal, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Now, like I said, hey, Jonathan Smith, UCLA. Let's talk about it with the guy from UCLA here in a hot seat. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. That's right, new customers. Get ready for this one. For your first $5 bet for all you new customers out there, you will get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app if that bet wins. Guys, speaking of winning, someone here had a fun weekend on FanDuel, might I say. For the Monday night game, made a nice little 3-touchdown parlay. David Montgomery, check. Mark Andrews, check. And then last but not least, Amon-Ra St. Brown, check. And that was after hitting a 5-0 in best bets weekend in college football, guys. It was a fun one over at FanDuel. Whether it's the same game parlays, first touchdown scores, anytime touchdown scores, you name it. Guys, they are making this football season all the more enjoyable. Are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. Again, guys, that's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. Also, look your best with Alumni Hall, the greatest place in the Lansing area, guys. Alumni Hall has the largest selection of officially licensed gear. We're talking Nike, talking Columbia, Champion, Yeti, New Era, so much more. They have apparel for the entire family, from kids to adults. Plus, they got the hats, the gifts, and all the tailgating gear that you need to make your tailgating setup the best in the parking lots this season. And they really take care of the Spartan community, Michigan State students and faculty, as well as military and first responders. You get 10% off with a valid ID in the store. And on top of all that, go ahead and follow Alumni Hall on social media and download the Alumni Hall app because, that's where you're going to find their best offers and sales available, guys. So pop into Alumni Hall in the Eastwood Town Center in Lansing near the Apple Store, or shop online or through their app. And best part is, for every $150 you spend, you're going to get $10 in hall cash to use for next time. So grab that new game day look, upgrade your tailgate with Alumni Hall, you name it. It is your ultimate Michigan State shopping destination.
I'm going to straight up say it, Matt. We talked about this off the air just a moment ago. UCLA fans, you heard my open. Matt has convinced me that I'm kind of leaning towards Jonathan Smith. I don't know if I have a front runner at this moment. There's so many coaches to talk about. Maybe you're trying to just leave. You're trying to get Jonathan Smith and just let him have UCLA and be like, we want a new coach at Michigan State. But right. I'm convinced Jonathan Smith would not be a bad hire. Now, the thing is, this is a whole rebuild at UCLA. Is it realistic? Is this a guy that would leave and abandon after 2 years? Is East Lansing home, or is it a spot that he was just there before he eventually lands at UCLA? I'm convinced that this would be a good hire, but could the situation work with the buyout and the 2 years only at Michigan State?
The other day on Locked On Spartans, we did talk about this because it was inevitable that, being from Pasadena, his name would pop up. And I think I said 0.5% chance I could actually see this happening. And now that a few days have gone by, listen to what number I'm about to say. I think it's 5%. Again, not 55. I'm not saying 85. I don't think this actually happens, but I don't think it's completely just a foregone conclusion that he certainly will not do it. And the original reason I gave a few days ago is that, hey, sometimes home is just calling. As someone that has basically, grown up in the same city my entire life, I find comfortability here. I really like where I'm from. And yeah, why would I leave? Home is home, right? But then again, Zach, is there a situation where a few weeks go by, a few months go by here in East Lansing, teams 5-7, teams 6-6. I mean, the fan base is kind of turning against him. There's apathy. He's seeing home. He's seen those palm trees off in the distance. There's a small buyout that UCLA has to pay. Can they give him a salary that is comparable to what he's making here in East Lansing? And does he want to say, well, you know what? I don't actually mind doing another rebuild for 2 years. I'll just forget the last few years that I've had, and let's just go do it all at a place where I have better recruiting ties, a place where I just know a lot better than the Midwest, a place where I'm a lot more comfortable. That's not too far-fetched, I guess, the more I think about it. Again, this all goes down to maybe the new athletic director doesn't give the vote of confidence at the end of the year. Not like he would ever come out with a statement saying, oh, no, he's got to leave. Or not like our athletic director would ever call yours and saying, get him out of here, please. We will pay the buyout for you. Just get him out of here, please.
Oh, that'd be juicy. I love that.
That would be very juicy. That would be very juicy. But I just don't see that happening. But man, there is a human aspect to this of returning home. And if he doesn't mind having to do another rebuild, sure, that's why it's 5%. But the 95% lies in, you are in the midst of a rebuild right now. You just did one at Oregon State. Do you want to do another one at UCLA where it is
without seeing the fruits of your victory? Why the fruits of your labor?
Why
go do it at UCLA? That's where the situation is. You go back. Yes, you can recruit. You can go change some guys' minds. SoCal is a hotbed for recruiting. You don't need the 5 stars to turn around your roster. I would say it's reasonable for the the buyout. UCLA, I think, is a little cheaper because if they're going to want to promise Jonathan Smith that they're going to commit to facilities, to recruiting, to overhauling just about everything, rev share, NIL, mixing that all together. That's a lot they have to commit. And then the $3.5 million just piles on top. Any real football program, that should not be a barrier. If they're like, Jonathan Smith is my guy, then they should go out and get him and be like, we're buying you out, Jonathan, come over here. But the thing is, if it's 6-6, and if he's kind of in this weird state with Michigan State fans, is that really an attractive hire for UCLA? That's how it's interesting.
That's the other thing too. Is a few people would probably have to say no on the UCLA side, but then again, can you fall in love with the guy that he was at Oregon State rebuilding that program? You certainly can. That's why I'm still there's not a lot of sizzle, there's not a lot of pizzazz around Michigan State's program right now, even with a 3-0 start. But that's because I'm not patient with a lot of things in life, but I would like to see this through for a few years. I don't know. So it's half just do you want to go through all this again? Do you want to, make more inroads at a place that would be new, even though you're kind of still familiar with the place? But also, too, like, would UCLA be putting up the money? Like, would they be giving him the resources that he has at Michigan State, which I don't think is as bad. Like, look, of course, not Ohio State. We're certainly not Michigan. We're not Notre Dame. But I would like to think that we're squarely in the second tier of resources in college football.
And it's not like that far removed from Michigan State having success, packing it out, and, competing for a CFP and in the Rose Bowl. Like, that's not that far removed when they were on the primetime games for the docket for the Big Ten.
I know the record doesn't match it, but, like, we do have the resources here to compete in the Big Ten. Does UCLA, though, for football? I mean, obviously there's no shortage of, like, money at any Big Ten program, but at a basketball school in this day and age where you got to decide where you're going to allocate your resources, like, that is a legitimate conversation, is it not? Do you think that there are resources out there to pry away a sitting head coach at a Power 4 job like this?
I mean, considering they went, cheap in the Deshaun Foster hire, if they didn't want to fire Chip Kelly, they could have had Jonathan Smith before. They could have convinced. They could have maybe gone after a Jed Fish. They could have gone after those. But I think there's also cheaper buyouts. They could go after, if you want to go after local or former alums, that's where Tony White comes in. You can go after a coordinator, which is a little cheaper, and you want a young and up-and-comer. Jonathan Smith, whatever you say, you bring up the good point about him being in another rebuild. At some point, you just get tired of that. Whether he's ready to do that or not, he just might be a little more irritable. He might, those things might pop up like, I'm doing this again? Like, that's where it's like, UCLA, it's like, you come across, you have this, your friend, you're talking to her, you're like, oh yeah, but just, it never works out for it to be in a relationship because the timing doesn't work. And it's because you're like, man, I could have gotten out of my own relationship when I realized it wasn't working. And then, had a perfect opportunity to click. And in that UCLA case, it was Chip Kelly. They didn't get out of it. And then you're like, oh, I'm just going to go for the quick fix. Instead of naming Deshaun interim head coach in 24, they gave him a decent deal for somebody who's never had coordinator experience. And that's where it depends on who makes the decision. How many resources are they willing to commit? That's where the chancellor, Julio Frank, is going to have to decide even higher up than UCLA's athletic director. And if they go cheap, no chance they get Jonathan Smith. And if this is their guy, then there's no reason why they shouldn't go get him.
I mean, not to count other people's money, but like, you do need like a Daddy Warbucks situation where, okay, someone is going to inject a ton of cash and resources into football. It might take one people, might take two people, but why would Jonathan Smith leave Michigan State to go do a rebuild at UCLA when there's arguably, maybe not even arguably, like just less resources and more apathy at UCLA than he has here? But of course, like, this can just all change with just the interest of one or two donors. Like, it sounds ridiculous, but that just is the fact of the matter here in this age of college football. I mean, go ask Texas Tech how things are going. Things seem to be going pretty okay after a few guys put their money together and decided they wanted to raise an NFL team over there. So it can be done, but will it be done? And would Jonathan Smith be interested if it's not done? I don't know, but the only thing that, will always have me just thinking in the back of my head that it could happen this year is Home's always calling. You brought up a really good point with, not just recruiting ties, but just the quality of recruits down there too. Like, guys ranked in the 50s for the state of California are cracking the top 10 here in Michigan. Like, I mean, that's a pretty talent-rich state you got over there, Zach. So
there's a lot
of things to think about. There's a
I
ton
think
to
the
think
biggest
about.
thing, Matt, you've convinced me to have him higher up in guys I want to have at UCLA.
Okay.
So in terms of, if you're listening, you're watching, he's higher up now on my list of guys I think UCLA should seriously consider. Situationally, I think he's closer to the bottom in terms of timing.
Yeah.
Contract is not the worst, as you mentioned.
No, it's not.
But a public UC school, they're already paying millions of dollars to Cal for Calamoni just to move to the Big Ten. I think situationally it's low. They can have him. It's out there, but you have to commit. And I think there's ways to get something similar, more UCLA heavy, maybe something younger, something different, and have more of an exciting younger coach that can connect with the fans, connect with the players, despite what Jonathan Smith's track record is, success at Oregon State and landing a pretty big job at Michigan State so far.
I think you're right there, and that's a knock that a lot of Michigan State fans have right now, is that, like, he's just kind of a boring guy. He doesn't market this program as well as he maybe should, and like, that's his personality. Like, he's a steady Eddie, cool hand Luke. He's always a 5 out of 10, and
that's not what UCLA needs. That is
exactly
not what they need.
You know what? That's not going to get butts in the seats in the first year, maybe not even the second year. Who knows the third year? But you kind of do need, like, you know who's available right now, Zach? Actually. You need Mel Tucker. You need someone that knows how to market a program. You know what? Hey, Restart the episode. Hit the restart button. We're doing this all from the top. We're getting Mel Tucker in LA on a $50,000 a year salary. Oh, man, he gets back employed. You guys get good marketing. It doesn't even take a dent in your athletics budget. I think it just solved UCLA athletics.
Yep. And for legal purposes, before people start hitting the comments, it's clearly a joke. If you can't take a joke, it's legal purposes. The satire is real. Oh, my goodness. It's so real.
I'll get Mel Tucker's people in contact with your people, and we'll get this done by, September 21st. We got this. We got this.
Have a coaching.
You're welcome. Man. Get used to a lot of keep chopping motion on the sideline when your team just committed a 15-yard penalty. That's a backbreaker. We saw a lot of that here in East Lansing.
Matt Sheehan speaking from experience on the previous regime, the current regime, and the most important thing, Jonathan Smith, quality hire, good football coach, doesn't seem likely that it'll work out for UCLA, but things could change.
But could.
It could. Yeah. It really could. We'll find out. But Matt Sheehan of Locked On Spartans, go check out his stuff. We're going to have a crossover soon, which is funny. This was I want to steal your coach episode. Now I want to beat your coach episode soon.
Please don't.
The weird.
I'd be so sad.
It's gonna. Who would have thought? We're week 3, week 4, and at this point, I want to steal your coach, but let's also beat your coach. I think that if UCLA beats Michigan State, I don't want Jonathan Smith. I think that's kind of
that's a good qualifier. I like that.
If you lose to UCLA, I don't want your coach right now.
This makes I just delete the whole episode too. That would make it all null and void. Yeah, that's a good point. I'll see you in a few minutes, Zach. This is great. We'll see each other in 10 days, I think, or
I feel
2.5 weeks.
It's coming soon. We'll have Matt again talking Michigan State football, and I'll talk UCLA football for a game. Yeah, they still play. They're still 2025 football, even though we're looking ahead to 2026 on a bye week.